I have to make this video. I've made videos about this before, but how do you manage your time? People, I have failed so much in my life to manage my time properly. And I want to tell you some of the lessons I've learned. And we're coming up to the end of the year and going into a new year. And hopefully this is a time for us to sort of, when I was a Mormon, we used to say repent and recommit, right? That's what it is. And, how do you divide your time up? How do you gain balance and all that stuff? But more importantly, what should you spend time on? And I've done another video about this based on the Mormons. There's a thing called good, better, best. And I'm actually going to cite that into evidence. So it's a talk from Dallin H. Oaks, a big Mormon dude. And he talks about good, better, best. And, I've always said that it doesn't matter who the messenger is if the true message can come in many different ways. And so, whether it came from a Mormon or not, it doesn't matter. The concept is sound. The concept is this. At any moment during your day, you should ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Is there something better I could be doing with my time? Am I doing the absolute best thing I could do with my time? I'm not saying don't play games and don't hang out with your honey and watch movies. And my wife and I, we were up until 3:30 in the morning last night. We watched movies, we drank beer, we had cheese plates, we pet the dog, we went for a walk, we just snuggled on the couch for a good 2.5 hours, and then then other stuff, and it was glorious. But I burned like 5.5 hours. Is that a good use of time? Yeah, it is. To me, it is, because I have the best relationship I've ever had with my wife right now. And you have to decide where you're going to invest that time. So where is all this coming from? Because today, some completely innocent person asked me, what do you think of the language of the V language? And I get a little frustrated when people ask me about completely, trendy, niche, new things. And you have to have that. They rightly said that, you have to have these, NIM and all these other things, Rust and stuff. They did try to put Go in the trending category, which it isn't. Go was always made to solve a problem and create efficiencies from the beginning by the creator of Unix and Unicode. So that was never a trend. It might be trending on the internet, but that has nothing to do with it as a technology. The point is, when you are presented with the problem of where do I put my time, then you have to make a decision. And you can call it mental mind share, you can call it whatever you want. You really have to decide, where am I going to put my mental energy? And there are lots of ways to do this. I actually suggest, this is a new technique I just learned. I've been using it with myself, and I'll make a whole video on it. But I have been scripting my life, scripting myself. And what that means is I've been writing bash code that covers what I want to do and how I want to add it. And so when you do that, you can decide, okay, what's the next thing on my flow chart, on my path, right? And so this, by the way, that whole technique will go into the book Autodidactic, which I'm writing, which talks about how to manage your mental energy, your mental capital. Where do you put it? And so when I do get a little frustrated when people, whether it's intentional or otherwise, they ask me about, these esoteric languages and stuff. And then, sometimes they get a little mean about it. They like to start to troll me, and I'm an easy person to troll. And they'll say things like, well, why aren't you screwing around with this or that? You call him to be a technologist who's like evaluating new things. And I do, but I also, it's like a balancing act, because like, how much time do you spend chasing down, this thing? And is it going to be worth it to you in the end? And so let me talk about, for me, why I have such a hard time with particularly edgy things. And so maybe they'll give them like an hour on a Friday to just look at it and give it a good look. And I did that once upon a time with NIM, and I really liked it, actually. Once upon a time I did it with CLang versus, the GNU C compiler, and I absolutely hated it. So, keeping up on those things is a part of the tech lifestyle. So let's talk about that. What does it mean to be a technologist? If you're a technologist, if you choose the tech life, you are choosing to keep current on everything that comes out that pertains to your job. And so right now, what pertains to my job is believe it or not, Perl. I'm going to be porting thousands of lines of Perl. I've got the biggest video on all of YouTube about Perl, still is. And I'm going to make another big video or two about Perl on the command line, which is still the single most powerful command line tool you could ever use. Why is Perl relevant to me more than V or NIM or any of these other things? Because number one, it's the world's best regex command line parser, blows awk away. Number two, I have a bunch of code for my job that I have to port from Perl to something else. And that language for you might be COBOL or whatever, or Java, right? So while it is fun to entertain, looking at new technologies and stuff like that, it's not a primary concern if if your time frame is limited. And let's talk about that again. So back to the commitment to Tech Live. If you commit, so I'm going to itemize some things here, and I apologize if I offend anybody. But if you commit to a Tech Live, you have to also decide: have you committed to a family? Are you married? Do you have children? Do you have a dog? Do you desire to maintain some level of fitness that keeps you alive until you're over 50? These are all things that substantially impact your decision about what you do. And what does this have to do with learning Rust or NIM or something? A lot, because if you're like me, as soon as you start down a trendy path, I have a really hard time pulling myself away from it. And I am, I've been starting to ride my bike again the last couple of days, and I went for like 3 months without even getting on my bike. Why? Because I was so focused in my extracurricular activity of writing bonsai and writing these books, which I am internally really motivated to do. So much so that, in the past, my family has paid for it, right? Because I haven't been there for whoever at whatever time, because I was so obsessed. I remember staying up till 4 a.m. to learn Java server pages in 1996. And I had young children, and I was completely exhausted, and I felt like it was an absolute mandatory thing that I needed to learn. It turned out it did help me. It helped me get a job. It helped me get hired and double my income for learning Java someplace else. The point is that it wasn't secondary. It was the primary thing, because it was going to get me into another job. So the reason that in that time I learned Java was because I knew it was related to my other goals, which were to maintain a family and all this stuff. So the takeaway from this is, if your extracurricular activity, so how many hours do you have in the week, right? Let's actually do this. Let's do this. Okay. Let's say, if you're working an honest 40-hour week, and, according to science, most people only work 4 hour actual work, about 4 hours a day. Go look it up. I'm not saying, that's just how humans are. And so if you end up working only 4 hours a day, okay, maybe you've got that other time to do the learning. Some people would say, this is one of the reasons I think you're so important to commit to a job where you have the time built in. It's built into what you're getting paid for to do the learning, because then you're getting paid to learn, right? So maybe you're only coding. Maybe you've only been coding for 4 hours or so, but the other 4 hours you've been like studying the problem and hopefully not in a lot of meetings, but you've been doing things. So how much of your mental space is dedicated to work per day? Between 6 to 8 to 10, or maybe another day you do 14 hours. So that's up to you. But let's just assume that you're working, even 30 hours a week. Okay. 40 for most people in the tech, 40 hours a week for most people in tech is low. A lot of tech jobs want you to commit way, way, way more than 40 hours, usually about 60 to 80 hours. And you have to decide if that's what you want for your life. Because if you choose that, and you choose to have a family, I'm telling you, I had to quit Nike because they were pushing us 90 hours a week. And my wife freaked out. My ex-wife, she came in and she went off on everybody in the room when they told me on Sunday I had to stay in, and it's a whole story. But the point of it is, you need to pick those choices right now and decide how much time you want to spend to each thing. And now's a really good time to start doing the time budgeting. If you have toddlers, and maybe you have to do things like, I'm gonna mention him, but the Primogen, right? So, whether or not I like everything he does, it doesn't matter. The dude quit his job after making a lot of money, and is now a full-time streamer, and it's impacting his decisions about what he puts in his stream and stuff. But he also has young kids, and he seems to be more or less attentive to their needs and stuff, and to his wife's needs. But he had to quit his job to do that, right? So, and I've decided to not quit my job. I've decided to have a job so that I can stream and spend my free time doing things that I want to do, and not the things that my stream wants me to do, that my community wants me to do. And so if you make a decision like that, then you have to fight with the frustration that I fight with all the time about not having time to do everything you want to do. Because if you're working an honest 40 hours and how much time do you have a day? Let's say you just work out. Let's say you just work out for 30 minutes a day, which is the absolute minimum. I mean, we're talking about maintaining your cardio and your eating right and everything. 30. Let's make it an hour because you had to have an extra shower that day. Okay, so do the math. Like 40 plus another 5 to 7 hours. Okay, so 47 hours or so, and then you add up the how much time you actually have a Zettelkasten about here. When I did all this, I probably should pull it up. But the bottom line is that you are not going to have a lot of extra time to experiment with new things. And so I think it's more important that you decide what is the thing that you need to experiment with. That's the most important thing. And it might not be the sexiest thing. So do you know, people ask me, do I know V? I'm like, yeah, but do you know all of Bash? Do you know what parameter expansion in Bash is? No, they don't know. Do you know how to background a process in Bash? No. Do you know how to do, a Go command line tool? Do you know how to, make a man page? Do you know how to do these things? And most of the people that are screwing around with Rust or NAM or V or these kind of things, they don't even know. They have no idea. And yet they are technologists employed, using a Unix-like system every day, and they don't know how to use the system. And I'm not being mean here. I'm just telling you. And they're like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. It's like, I have to do that. It's not the thing I want to do. That's a quote from Russ Hanneman in Silicon Valley. Richard, I don't want you to do the thing you need to do. What do you want? What do you want to do? He wants to make a new internet is what he wants to do, which I did try to do as well. So the bottom line is we need to establish what those things are that we should be. And this goes to the whole conversation I used to have with the skill stack. Yeah. And so now, I mean, the good news is that you're never going to learn it all, right? There's always going to be more to learn. But ask yourself, is it more important that I learn how to use Ansible or Cloud and Terraform or something than that I learn NIM and whatever? Now, to be fair, and I'm going to end on this, okay? A lot of people, all the people that are doing admin of whatever right now, I mean, I consider it a waste of time. I consider it a total waste of time. And that is a very unpopular opinion. Like, what are you doing? Why are you hating them? I'm not. I'm just telling you, I don't want to do it. Here's why. Because I would be rather making a video complaining about it. But more importantly, I would rather be just learning what I need to learn or working on the things that I need to work on. But that's not fun, right? The reason people do admin is because they say it's fun. It's actually not. Go watch the people doing it. They are not having fun. It is hard work, and it'll be rewarding when I get it done. Yeah, but so would like any number of other things. The point is that we still should be doing things that are fun. And for a lot of people, it's like, hey, I work on coding in my free time because that's what I like to do in my free time. Like, that's fine. But how much free time do you really have? Seriously, how much free time per day do you have? I work at home, so I don't have a 2-hour commute or whatever. And if I were to work out for an hour and I was working an 8-hour day and I was to spend 3 hours with my family, let's do it. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 or so. So, let's say you can get an hour for taking care of things and maybe an hour for cleaning garbage up and stuff. You might have maybe 2 hours a day. Maybe 2 hours a day to spend on your fun stuff. Right now, as for me, I bike for 90 minutes a day, so that burns most of it. In fact, when I was doing a lot of biking, I wasn't doing any technology because I didn't have enough time for both. I literally didn't. If you want to train to be a triathlete or anything and you're doing like 3 hours a day of endurance training, 90 minutes a day plus, maybe some workouts and things like that. There's just no way to balance it. It's like you have to pick one. And I have picked one and I just blimped out like a balloon over the last 3 months. If you're okay, but see, that's fair. Somebody mentioned in the chat, well, what about single people? Single people probably have about 8 hours a day of free time. That's probably true. In fact, I would say that that's probably true. It hasn't been true for me for a very long time. Now, I don't have the kids' time, but back when I had young kids, I spent at least 2 hours a day with the kids. At least 2 hours with kids. And I'm so happy I did that because the life events took the kids from me later. Had I not done that, I would not have that time to look back on and to remember. And so on an average day, I would spend like 2 hours or so with the kids, and I would spend maybe an hour or two with my wife. After the kids went to bed, it was really really cherished time. Sometimes we would not do that. Sometimes I would go play at the time World of Warcraft, and she would go watch some stupid TV show. And sometimes I always felt guilty because we weren't together during that time, and because some of the stuff she watched, I'm like, no. Desperate Housewives, really? No, I don't want to watch that. Anyway, so it's like, do you split and do your own thing, or do you do things together? And I'm I'm very happy to say that yeah, WoW is so popular. It's funny to say. I mean, but everybody knows WoW knows it's a huge dedication of time. Yeah, yeah, I know everybody's getting really popular in WoW. Yeah, yeah, I saw a lot of people playing it. So, but grinding in WoW is you cannot sit down and play like a 40-minute game of WoW. You're sitting down and you're playing like a 3-hour game of WoW. And the point is quite simple. There's not a lot of time left over. There's no unless you're single. I mean, if you're single and you have nothing else, you have no other social at all, then fine. And quite honestly, I think that describes a lot of Twitch streamers. And I'm not trying to pick a fight here, but if you look, hey Chris, if you look at Twitch and even YouTube for that matter, the people who have, for some reason, the people who seem to have the most time to make content also don't have like families. And that's going to be taken wrong. I don't mean it to. I'm just trying to tell you what's realistic, right? So if you have a family and you want to get a better job in tech, and you also want to play WoW or whatever, you're going to have very, very little time left to learn anything trendy. You know what I mean? Yeah, people have their own chat families. In fact, it's become I used to yell at people for using the term fam in my chat. I don't anymore. But, because it's just slang. But it's where we are. And if I was a young person today, I would not have kids. So I got no problem admitting that. I think there's just no way. There's no way. I love my children, but there's no way I would have kids in the current environment. And that's a totally different topic, which we're not going to go down. So if you're going to trend, and you're going to play around with the trends, or you're going to watch the videos that are more about drama between streamers and things like that, that's your choice. But I don't have that kind of time. I got a lot of things I want to do. I want to accomplish, even though my kids are grown and in college and more or less okay. I still want to spend time maintaining this amazing relationship with my wife, and I want to get healthy again. And so I only learn the languages that I need for work or that I might need in the future. And I spend a little bit of extra time when I spend time playing around with stuff at home. I'm going to work on my Proxmox, home hub lab tower, which I am going to start doing again. And I'm building out, technology at home that's entertaining, but also helps me work harder, and, be a better person at work. Am I like pro-capitalist? That's not really the reason I'm saying all these things. I'm just old, and I got things I want to accomplish. So I ain't got no time to like go look at some, trendy weird thing. Maybe like 15 minutes, right? That I also don't play games anymore, right? So I love Dota and I love Overwatch and stuff. I haven't even played any of those games for, God, at this point going on 2 years now. So, I don't want people to misunderstand and walk away and say, Rob is saying that everybody should be good little automatons working for corporate America, and you shouldn't spend any time doing anything that would prevent you from being the highest performing, corporate drone. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to have a balanced life, you don't have as much time to play. I love Deadlock too. I've heard about it, but yeah, there's a lot of great games, and quite honestly, I sort of envy some of the people who have time to play games. Actually can be kind of become a grumpy person, because you know how it is where you like project out, your values on other people, depending on what's most important to you in the moment. It's like a natural human thing. And so when I have a lot of things that I want to do that I feel like could change the world in a way that I want before I leave the world, I start to get Aaron Schwartz about the whole thing. It's like, why are you not spending every free second of your time doing this? And then I get kind of annoyed by people who are not sharing my values. And then I become kind of a dick because then I'm like wagging my finger at people. It's like, why are you not a vegetarian like me? And you know what I mean? Or like, why are you not committed to saving the world like me? I'm busting my ass to save the world and you're fucking playing World of Warcraft. That game's been dead for 10 years or whatever. So it's just human nature to do that. It's human nature. It's a natural thing. Yeah. You think it's a natural narcissistic thing? I don't know if I would say that because I know a lot of people who do that that are not narcissists. And I probably am a narcissist as well, but I'm just saying that it's a thing. Anyway, that's been a long video. I'm going to put the stop button. It's 20 minutes. I thought it would be under that. The point of it is, this is why, figure out what you want to work on and then make a goal and then write a flow chart, maybe script to the flow chart so you can see what where your flow is, your logic flow, write code, write actual code, write bash code, which we're now going to do, by the way. And then you can, you can organize your own, what you're going to do. And I have done that for myself. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway,